What's going on, guys? Welcome into the Fantasy Pros live stream. I'm Mike Tagliere, and I'm back with you guys for another week of start or sit questions, trade questions, DFS questions, whatever it is that you guys have. Obviously, I know that there's a game going on. It's at halftime, so there's going to be maybe a little less traffic. Hopefully, I can get to more of the questions of those of you that are here today. But as usual, I'm going to start out going through the injuries in the week that you need to know about, because some people haven't paid attention throughout the week and they just come to the show relying on some injury information. But I'm sure a lot of the people that I'm going to talk about here are going to get questions, so I'm not going to talk too long about these injuries. And then the start sit questions I'm going to get to right after. If you guys could do me a big favor, say thank you. Click on that like button. It really does help out the stream. It lets us know that it's something that you guys do enjoy. It obviously helps the channel grow, and that's what we're looking to do. We want to do more and more of this stuff. So starting out at the top, T.Y. Hilton. If you guys have been sleeping under a rock, coming back to fantasy football on Sunday, T.Y. Hilton is not going to play. He's going to be out for, they're saying, 3 to 4 weeks. We don't know exact timeline just yet, but that's what they're saying, so be prepared to be without him. Zach Pascal is probably going to be a popular question in the chat today. I'm not really high on him. Pittsburgh's been a really tough matchup for wide receivers. D.D. Westbrook, obviously that game is going on now. He's out for the game. Will Fuller was out. Delaney Walker and O.J. Howard, those are two tight ends that are not going to play in this game. Delaney Walker doesn't appear to be close to returning. He had some ligament damage last year. The injury that he's dealing with now is in relation to the injury that he suffered that ended his season last year. So this could be a long-term thing for Delaney Walker. He's droppable. O.J. Howard, it's a hamstring. He should be back next week, and if you do own him, I wouldn't drop him just yet. He's playing Arizona next week, so the beat goes on for O.J. Howard. Doubtful, James Conner. They do not expect him to play in this game. That means Jalen Samuels is going to be a popular DFS play, and he is a solid RB2 this week. Indianapolis tough against the run, but they do allow quite a bit through the air to running backs, and Mason Rudolph kind of checking down to him. The fantasy points are going to rack up there. Patrick Mahomes, they haven't officially ruled him out yet, but he's not expected to play, so go ahead and be prepared to be without him. Downgrade the Chiefs players a little bit, obviously with Matt Moore under center. Those who are game time decisions and or questionable are James White, dealing with a toe injury, landed him on the injury report. He did travel with the team, so they're expecting him to play. Seems like it's not a big deal, but it's something to monitor. If you do have James White, maybe you just have Rex Burkhead just in case. Devontae Adams is expected to play for the Packers today. He's listed as questionable. That game is not until the 3 o'clock set of games, so that's, obviously that's on you to have someone to replace him. But if for whatever reason you're setting your lineup and you don't know what to do, put Devontae Adams in the flex spot, and that way you have more options to be able to replace him with if for whatever reason he's ruled inactive. Adam Thielen is expected to play. We're going to get some of those inactive lists that come out during the show. We're probably going to find out about some of these players. Thielen is expected to play. Deshaun Jackson also expected to play after practicing this week. He said that he's going to be smart about it. I don't know what that means, but it seems like he's going to be a little bit risky this week against the Bears. Bears haven't been really a team that you attack through the air so much. Deshaun Jackson's kind of like that boomer bust wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5 play that you don't really want to trust in his first game back. You'd prefer to see him on the field in a full complement of snaps before putting him into lineups. Marquise Brown, another one. They're expecting him to play. Multi-week absence, another guy. It's a brutal matchup against New England, so he's also not somebody that you have to play. I have him around wide receiver 50 this week, so it's like low-end wide receiver 4, high-end 5 territory. And then Chris Herndon, no surprise, he's not expected to play, so be prepared to be without him. Those are the players that I really wanted to touch on at the top of the show just to make sure you guys knew about, and I'm going to get into questions here in just a second. So guys, if you guys have not been here before, what I typically try and do is go through as many of the questions as I can. I grab them in a random order. There's nothing like believe me, I'm not purposely skipping over any questions or anything like that. I take them as I see them. So basically, I want you to narrow it down to 3 players or less. If there's 4 players in there, I'm not going to answer it just because I want to get to as many people as I possibly can. And then when there's 4 players, it's just like basically setting the entire lineup. I want to break down those tough decisions and help you guys with those. So let's just go ahead and get into this. I'm going to start with Chris. Chris asked Devin Singletary or Mike Williams as the flex. I'm going with Mike Williams here. Devin Singletary, again, he's a guy he's still yet to see more than I think 9 touches in an NFL game. That's not enough enough to start confidently. Mike Williams, on the other hand, he's someone that the more research I did this week, the more that I'm kind of like coming around on the fact that he could break out really soon. Obviously, he's due for some touchdowns. He hasn't scored a touchdown yet this year, and I want to say based on the volume and where the targets have come, he's due, like he should have at least, I think, 3 touchdowns is the expected touchdown right now. So there's some regression coming here to the mean. Mike Williams also, if you go over the last 4 weeks, is something I dove into in air yards. So air yards basically dictates opportunity. A target that's 10 yards down the field is worth more than a target 1 yard from the line of scrimmage. Mike Williams is 4th, I think it is 4th or 5th in the NFL in air yards over the last 4 weeks. So he's getting plenty of opportunity. It's only a matter of time before that kind of adds up. So I'm going to go Mike Williams there. Peter S. Ty Johnson or Shady and a half PPR. I mean, I'm probably going to go with Shady McCoy here. There's a lot of uncertainty about Shady, and it's not a great matchup against Minnesota. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it is. But Ty Johnson, it's not a great matchup either. Most people see the Raiders and they think, oh, this is a great matchup. The Raiders have been really good against the run this year. Where they've struggled to get, you can throw the ball through the air against them. Ty Johnson can contribute there, but the Lions have a lot of pass catchers. He's 4th option at best, probably 5th option behind TJ Hawkinson. So, I mean, Ty Johnson to me is just like a borderline flex play this week. He's not a great play. Shady is like an RB3 flex, so I'm not excited about either, but I would take Shady because I think the upside's there for more. Let's see. What's up, Tags? What's up, dude? Another day as a Bears fan for us. Yeah. PPR, Chris Carson or Jamal Williams and Madison. Yeah, you play Chris Carson. That's for sure. Carson, he's a guy that's had 20 plus touches in 5 straight games. You play him. It's a tough matchup against Tampa Bay, but that game does have the highest under on the slate. I think at 52.5 points, I think it went up to. Anytime you have a running back that's getting 20 touches in a game that has an over-under of over 50 points, you play him. I know Tampa Bay's a tough defense. They are, but Carson's involved in the passing game. All those touches, you play him. You don't even debate it. Jamal Williams, not really excited about him. I mean, he's like basically in an Austin Eckler role where he's getting like 8 to 12 touches per game. And it's a fine matchup. It's not great, but the concern here is that the Chargers, like their games are slow. They're slow paced, and it hasn't amounted to many running back touches for the opponents. And if we're going to say that Aaron Jones is going to get 60, 70%, then that doesn't leave too much for Jamal Williams. So that's where I'd go. Let's see. Do you play Stafford today over Lamar Jackson or drop him and pick up Tony Pollard? I would play Stafford over Lamar Jackson today, yes. I think I might be in the minority on that. I want to say that analysts do have Lamar Jackson slightly higher, but I have Stafford as my number 3 or number 4 quarterback this week. Lamar Jackson 6. So I do like Stafford. I think the floor should be solid against Oakland. As I mentioned, they stopped the run pretty well. He has his options healthy at wide receiver. The secondary is pretty atrocious with the Raiders. They can attack him in a variety of ways. So I do like Stafford. That's another game. The over-under on that one is 51, I want to say. So I like Stafford quite a bit. Juju Smith-Schuster or John Brown. Whew, that's a tough one. I'm going to go with John Brown, though. I mean, Washington has allowed plenty of big wide receiver performances. Some people are concerned that, is it going to be a blowout, this and that. I mean, the Bills just really don't blow out teams. Like, even going back to the game against the Dolphins, they didn't really blow them out. There's not really so much to be worried about here with John Brown, whereas Juju, I don't see Indianapolis without T.Y. Hilton being a very competent offense against that Pittsburgh defense. That's been really good. So I'm not excited. Juju Smith-Schuster is a phenomenal player. I just don't like him attached to Mason Rudolph. Like, if you watch that game against the Dolphins, I always reference when, primetime games are on because people actually have a chance to see these players in action. And if you watch that game closely, you could see that Juju should have had a bigger game. Mason Rudolph threw it behind him a couple times, just flat out missed him another time. It is what it is. And Juju has relied on making plays every single game. And it's not to say that he can't, but it's betting on that happening. Whereas John Brown, he's been performing. He's been getting consistent targets, and he is still yet to connect with Josh Allen on a 40-yard pass. That's going to happen at some point, and this might be that like blowout week for John Brown. So I do like him, and I would play him over Smith-Schuster. Is Devontae Adams playing? Yes, he's expected to play. We don't know for sure because that game is not until the afternoon slate, but he's expected to play, yes. Zach Pascal or Danny Amendola. I would play Amendola personally, particularly in a PPR format. Like Amendola, he was dealing with some injuries in the middle of the season. Like he actually forced him to miss a game. So it could have been that could have been his lull in production. They clearly wanted him in free agency. They went out and got him. Matt Patricia obviously likes him, but knowing that they're lacking a run game and that Oakland has allowed a lot of production to slot receivers, I like Amendola over Pascal. Pascal is going to see more targets, but I don't know how many more is. Looking through the Colts, I want to say outside of T.Y. Hilton, there's been no receiver that's seen more than 7 targets in a game, and Pittsburgh has been really tough on wide receivers. They've been really tough since week 1 because week 1 they allowed a lot of production to the Patriots wide receivers, but since then they've been really friggin' good. Ever since they got Fitzpatrick, they've been like shut down. So I'm not excited about Zach Pascal today, so I'll take Amendola there. Thanks for all your help, Mike. No problem, Mike. PPR pick 2, Ty Johnson, Pascal, Amendola. Amendola would be the one, and I'll take Ty Johnson the other, just because he's more of like a guy that's guaranteed touches, and I just don't like Pascal very much this week. Amanda asks, McLaurin, Jamal Williams, or Samuel in flex PPR? Oh, this one's Samuel 100%. If you guys have Jalen Samuels, he's a guy that you put in your lineup this week. You do. He's going to rack up the points, particularly in PPR formats. I have him ranked, I think, as my RB 15. So yeah, he's a fantastic start. Everybody's going to play him in DFS for a reason. Yeah, I like Samuel quite a bit. Need to drop 2, pick up kicker and DST. Kareem Hunt, Madison, or Singletary. I would probably drop Singletary of the bunch. You need to drop 2 of them? Whew. I guess it's Madison and Singletary, because Kareem Hunt, if you've held on to him this long, or if you've had him this long, now's the time where it's like you're going to start to get like the payoff of him having that handcuff value. And he might even have some flex value on a week-to-week basis. We don't know how much Cleveland's going to use Kareem Hunt. But what I will say is that to me, he's considered one of the best handcuffs in football, probably the best handcuff in football, just because Cleveland's not passing the ball very well right now. Chubb has looked fantastic. And I do anticipate Chubb to hold on to that job, but he's going to lose some touches, right? They're going to give Kareem Hunt I'm going to guesstimate they're going to give Kareem Hunt 8 to 12 touches a week, which is going to knock down Chubb's ceiling for sure. But he's still a handcuff to me, but more valuable than a regular handcuff. So I'd say in order, the way I would drop them would be Singletary, Madison, Hunt. So that's where I'm at. Let's see. Would you play Hunter Henry or David Montgomery? I really don't like Montgomery this week, but it's really tough for me to pass on a running back with guaranteed touches. I mean, a guy that the Bears clearly want to use. They do want to get back to the run game. They're not going to be able to run the ball against Philadelphia. That much we know. The question is how much he's using the passing game. I have a really hard time saying that David Montgomery is the one that I would say David Montgomery would be the one that I'd play personally. And I'm saying that because the guaranteed touches. We don't know what's going on with the Chargers offense. Firing Ken Wisenhunt, that's going to change some things, right? And I think it can only benefit the run game. They've only ran the ball 15 times per game over the last 4 weeks, and that's not going to get it done. I don't care who's at running back. It's just not going to get it done. So I think they want to run the ball more, and that means less targets to go around among these receivers and, pass catchers. So Hunter Henry, I like him, but I would say Montgomery is just a safer play, even though he lacks a ceiling. If you're looking for a ceiling, it'd be Henry, but David Montgomery is a safer play. Group champion, OBJ or Robbie Anderson. I mean, this is crazy, but I have Robbie Anderson higher this week. I don't like Odell Beckham Jr. in the matchup that he has. I'm gonna rattle this off for you guys in case you missed it. I'm gonna pull it up because I just want to make sure I get the stats correct. So Odell Beckham Jr. is going to be going up against Chris Harris Jr. of the Broncos. Probably playing the best in the NFL right now. The guy has been playing lights out. They've had him shadowing wide receivers ever since week 2. And since that time, here's the finish. Like, these are the wide receivers, what they've done, the ones he's shadowed. Allen Robinson, 4 catches for 41 yards, no touchdowns. Devontae Adams, 4 catches for 56 yards, no touchdowns. DJ Chark, 4 catches for 44 yards, no touchdowns. Keenan Allen, 4 catches for 18 yards, no touchdowns. Tyreek Hill had 3 catches for 74 yards, did score a touchdown. That's Tyreek Hill. And then T.Y. Hilton, 2 catches for 54 yards, no touchdown. We've seen Odell Beckham struggling, guys. Like, he has finished as a top 18 fantasy wide receiver twice. I mean, he's finished inside the top 30 twice. So knowing that he's struggling going into a matchup like this, it's really tough to say, like, you bench Odell Beckham, but I don't think it's like out of the question if you have a good option. And I do think that Robbie Anderson is a phenomenal option. So I would play Robbie Anderson personally. I understand. I hate saying that because Odell Beckham Jr. is a guy that he deserves better than what he's gotten so far, but it is what it is. Austin Eckler, Hunter Henry, PPR. that's a situation where I still think I'm going to lean with the guaranteed touches with Austin Eckler. He's been targeted in the passing game quite a bit. I do expect them to run more, and Eckler's going to get some carries. So I'll take Eckler in that one. It's just closer. Jonathan asked, Melvin Gordon or Jalen Samuels? That's close. Me personally, I have Melvin Gordon, and this is a little bit narrative on my end, saying that I do believe that Melvin Gordon is going to be more utilized under the new coach, the interim coach, I should say, is that he wasn't being used enough, and so many people are complaining about him, and they're complaining about that Austin Eckler should be getting more touches, but Eckler's averaged 1.9 yards per carry since Gordon came back. Gordon's averaging 2.5. They're both playing pretty terrible, but I think a lot of it had to do with the lack of volume, the lack of consistency. So I would play Melvin Gordon personally, but Jalen Samuels he might be a safer play, but I'm going to go Melvin Gordon. Jeffrey Nicholas asked, good morning, Mike. Good morning. 1 point PPR, Sony Michel or Demaryius Thomas in your flex. I mean, I'm probably going to say Sony just because he's guaranteed touches, but I mean, I like Demaryius this week. He is dealing with some sort of hamstring injury that's had him questionable the last couple of weeks, which is always worrisome, right? It's like, I don't want to say that someone's guaranteed production. I have Demaryius Thomas as a top 36 wide receiver play this week. I just feel like the Dolphins are just one of the worst teams in the league right now. That secondary is atrocious. They can't really stop too much. I lost Xavier Howard. Like, I kid you not. I wrote down the names of the cornerbacks in the matchup in the primer, and like I said, these are not fake names. I'm not making them up, I promise. Like, because nobody knows who they are. So it's a phenomenal matchup. He's been seeing a solid target floor, but at the same time, we don't know how much the Jets are going to throw the ball in this game. So I'm going to take Sony here and just take the guaranteed touches, even though I don't necessarily like Sony's matchup against the Ravens. It's not a good one. All right, let's see. Gabriel asked Browns or Eagles defense. I have them, I think, right next to each other. I don't think you can go wrong with either. The Browns are probably a safer play, whereas the Eagles are probably the higher upside play. I think the Bears are going to throw the ball more than you will see Brandon Allen throw the ball. Let's see. Demaryius Thomas is a good PPR play. Yes. Yeah, I do believe that he is, yes. Billy asked, half PPR, pick one. Odell Beckham, Alshon, or Sutton. Oh, this is close. I mean, I'd probably go with Beckham here, because Alshon Jeffrey's matchup isn't bad against the Bears. I don't think it's terrible. I don't think it's great. Let's see. I'm pulling it up right now just so I can see. Yeah, I have Odell Beckham, Alshon, then Sutton. So this is a situation where I'd go Beckham. I think his talent is just good enough to where those other guys aren't in great matchups that like you can't miss him. Cortland Sutton's someone I'm worried about with Brandon Allen. I don't know what that's going to mean, but I can't imagine this being a good thing for Cortland Sutton. Not only from a volume standpoint, I don't anticipate them throwing the ball a whole lot, but from an efficiency standpoint too. Brandon Allen's a guy that threw 3 interceptions in the preseason, no touchdowns. So, yeah, I'm concerned. Jay, we love you, Mike. I love you too, Jay. Thank you. Phil asked DK Metcalf or Marvin Jones. This is for DFS. Oh, man, this is tough because DK is 5,700. Marvin Jones is 6K. I'm going to go with DK. I mean, I feel like the ceiling is there. This is probably the last week we're going to be able to use him confidently with Josh Gordon coming back. Or coming to the team, I should say, not coming back. But if you guys missed that, Josh Gordon was claimed by the Seahawks, so he's going to be in the Seahawks uniform next week. Yeah, he's going to have fantasy relevance. So DK Metcalf would probably be my choice there. In DFS, he's probably going to be, I don't know if he's going to be lower owned. You get a $300 discount. I mean, if all were even, I have them as similar plays, to be honest with you. Curtis asked, hey Tags, love the show. Pick one standard. Pascal, Miles Sanders, Sammy Watkins. I mean, Sanders dealing with that shoulder issue. I don't like Pascal's matchup. I'm going to go Sammy Watkins here. I mean, it's not a great matchup against Minnesota, but it's not a bad matchup either. Like, Minnesota has allowed plenty of fantasy points to wide receivers and usable fantasy performances. So I'll go with Sammy Watkins. All right, let's see. All right, thanks for doing this, Tags. Oh, thank you guys for being here. Definitely appreciate it. And if you guys haven't already, click the like button for me. It really helps us out. Click the subscribe button. I'm obviously here every Sunday morning for you guys. We do a waiver wire show on Tuesdays. You can get notifications and all that. Yeah, Bobby does a start sit show on Thursday. But yeah, so make sure you guys do that. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. But thanks for being here. DK or Robbie Anderson DFS this week. I mean, I'm going to go with DK Metcalf just because I feel like that's a higher scoring game. We don't know how much the Jets are going to pass. This could be a very Le'Veon Bell heavy game. It should be. I like Anderson quite a bit. I do think he's a solid DFS play in a tournament. But I would go with DK. I think the upside with Russell Wilson is just higher. Let's see. Hi from Poland. DJ Moore, hi, hello Poland. DJ Moore, Jamison Crowder, Alshon Jeffrey, and Standard. I have Alshon here, and the reason I'm saying Alshon is like he's most likely for a touchdown. He's been getting consistent targets. He's finished as a top 36 wide receiver in I think it's 5 of the 6 games that he's played. I'm not counting the Falcons game because he left that game early on. And then DJ Moore, I did like DJ Moore this week, but he got downgraded a little bit when I found out that Adoree Jackson is coming back for the Titans, and him back in the lineup does downgrade the matchup for both DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel. Blake, good morning, Tags. Good morning. Thanks for all the work on the primer. Thank you. Thank you guys for reading it. If you guys didn't read it, I wouldn't be writing it. So thank you guys for supporting the article. And if for whatever reason, if you guys are watching the show and you've never read the primer, it's an article I put up every Thursday. I write a paragraph on every player from every game. So a lot of the things that I talk about in this show, you're going to find in the primer. And yeah, it's basically, you know, a place where I can tell you to go, and you'll have an answer for everything, basically. But thank you. I appreciate that. Higher floor, half PPR. Mark Walton or Golden Tate? Mark Walton's the one with the higher floor. So Golden Tate, it's a tough matchup against Dallas. Dallas hasn't been particularly good to wide receivers since the start of last year. But the reason I probably would have said Tate going back a couple days, but Sterling Shepard was cleared of the concussion protocol. He's expected to play, which is going to take away targets from Golden Tate. Tate is still going to play that same role in the slot, which is probably the best matchup for the Giants. But at the same time, I can't say confidently that he's going to see 8 targets anymore. I could say that before. Now it could be like a 5 to 7 target range, and that's a little bit more worrisome in a tough matchup. So I'll take Mark Walton. The Jets are ailing at linebacker right now, so I mean they could struggle to stop the run game. Let's see. John asked PPR, start Walton or Ty Johnson. I'd go Mark Walton there. Yeah, Ty Johnson, I've talked about the concerns with him, so I'll take Walton. He played like 85% of the snaps. My only concern with Walton is that he's not getting goal line touches. I know there's not many of them to go around in Miami, but that's my only concern with him. Let's see. Keith asked, LaShawn McCoy or Frank Gore, flex PPR. I think Frank Gore is probably the safer option here because McCoy, he got benched last week after fumbling, and we don't know what that's going to mean. Like, this has been like the absolute worst backfield to project every single week. Like, and on top of that, they haven't been very productive, which is really weird for an Andy Reid offense, but it is what it is. And I'll take Gore knowing that game script is going to be in his favor. He's probably going to see 15 plus touches. So that's just safer to play Gore in that spot. Pick my flex. I'm stacked at wide receiver. Keenan Allen or Diggs? I'm going to go with Keenan Allen. I mean, I think he's all right. I think he's fine. The hamstring didn't seem to bother him too much against the Bears. He was slipping on the field, but I don't think they had to do with the hamstring. The Packers do play a lot of zone coverage, which Keenan Allen's actually been better against zone over the last couple years. Diggs is a phenomenal play, but with Thielen coming back to the lineup, we're going to see some of those targets like suppressed. You know, he's not going to be getting the targets he's been getting the last couple weeks. Kansas City has been relatively good against wide receivers this year. So, I mean, I'm going to play Keenan Allen. It just makes more sense for me. Garrett says, love the show, Tags. My birthday was this past Wednesday. Well, happy birthday, Garrett. I hope you had an awesome day and that no one gave you crap. That's basically what I tell people on their birthday is that as you get older, the only thing you just don't want people to give you crap on your birthday. Start Allen Robinson or Jalen Samuels for the flex spot, 10-team, half PPR. I mean, I like Allen Robinson this week, but I'm going to say Jalen Samuels. So if you guys are here for the show on Sunday mornings every week, you guys know that I always talk about the importance of playing a running back over a wide receiver. If you're ever torn between two players and they're so similar, right? Like you look at rankings, you look at everything and you're like, I'm so torn. Go with the player who's going to get more guaranteed touches. You're less likely to bust, and like that's obviously the thing that can kill your fantasy lineup. Robinson has been fantastic, and I do like him this week. I have him as a top 15 wide receiver, but knowing he's tied to Trubisky, it could be another bad day for him. And Samuels is just locked into too many touches to pass up there. Let's see, Singletary or Ty Johnson. That's a close one. That one's really close. I might go Singletary there just because I think he offers more big play upside. Whereas Ty Johnson, we don't know the role. Clearly, they didn't trust him last week, so I'll take Singletary in that one. Kyle asks Jonnu Smith or Greg Olsen PPR. That one's really close, but I'm going to go with Jonnu Smith. The matchup for him is actually really good against Carolina. Carolina has struggled with tight ends. Honestly, ever since Ron Rivera has been there, that scheme just allows a lot of tight end production if you throw to tight ends. And Jonnu Smith showed a connection, obviously, last week with Ryan Tannehill. So I do like Jonnu Smith. Greg Olsen, outside of Cardinals and Bucs games, which is, by the way, those are like the two worst defenses against tight ends. Outside of those games, he has done nothing, like absolutely nothing. I think he's averaging like 17 yards per game. So Greg Olsen is not a must start by any means. I would play Jonnu Smith. Sad Jay Cutler, hashtag Cuddy come back. Yeah, I miss Jay. Half PPR, Sony, Sterling Shepard, Devontae Parker. I'm going to go with the guaranteed touches in Sony. I mean, Devontae Parker's been better than people think, but I don't think he's a must play by any means. But I would go with Sony here. Best shot at a touchdown. Kane break, 10 team PPR for flex, LaShawn McCoy, Mark Walton, or Sterling Shepard. It's definitely not Shepard. He's the one left out of this conversation. I don't really like Shepard in the matchup. He's obviously coming off a multi-week absence. McCoy or Walton? Let's go with Walton here. He comes with a safer floor. That's basically what you're looking for here. I don't think any of them are exciting options this week, but I'll say Walton. Zachary Breen asks, good morning, Tags. Good morning. Half PPR, Metcalf, David Montgomery, Phillip Lindsay, pick 2. So basically I'm benching one of these guys. It's David Montgomery for sure. So this is like a situation where I always say lean the guaranteed touches. Obviously, David Montgomery and Lindsay are the ones guaranteed touches, but Montgomery's matchup is so bad, and the Bears have been like so volatile in terms of how often they run the ball. I do expect him to get 12 to 15 touches, but at the same time, they're not going to be very good. And you happen to have a player that I like his matchup a lot, and that's DK Metcalf. So knowing that Tampa Bay does not allow anything on the ground to running backs, like they're allowing sub 3 yards per carry this year. It's been brutal. So they're going to have to move the ball through the air. DK Metcalf, where he lines up on the field, where his production comes from, has been like the spot where the Bucs have been like demolished. So I do like DK quite a bit, and I'm willing to take the little bit lower floor of DK in order to get that ceiling. It's close enough where I'll take DK. Let's see. I'm stumped on this one, Mike. Let's see. Deshaun Jackson, Adam Thielen, or Devontae Parker. You play Thielen. I mean, you have to accept like there's some volatility. Like there's a lot of different outcomes that we could look at with him, but I would say that you have to go with Thielen if he's healthy in the lineup. I mean, if he's playing, he's over you don't play with a hamstring, like partially injured. Deshaun Jackson, obviously coming off a multi-week injury. We don't know how much he's going to play. Parker, he's no sure thing. So I'll take Thielen there for sure. All right, let's see. Michael Gallup, Mark Walton, or Evan Ingram. I need one as my flex. Oh no, it just went away. I'm forgetting what I just said. I am so sorry about that. I'm sorry. It literally scrolled, like sometimes it scrolls away and I can't follow it. I'm sorry. Jamal Williams, Marlon Mack, Keenan Allen, bench 1. Jamal Williams for sure. I don't even like Marlon Mack this week, but I would play him over Jamal Williams. Andrew says half PPR, Tyrell Williams or Keenan Allen. Yeah, it's got to be Keenan Allen here. I mean, I do like Tyrell. The matchup's fantastic against Detroit. He scored a touchdown in every game, but his yardage is down. And it's like we know that Derek Carr has his ups and downs as a quarterback, and that can happen. Whereas Keenan Allen's a little less volatile. He should offer a high floor in this game against the Packers and potentially a high ceiling. So I'll take Keenan Allen. Eduardo, half PPR, David Montgomery or Odell Beckham. I'll go Montgomery in that situation. Like I don't like the matchup for either of those guys, but Odell is in a really tough matchup against Chris Harris Jr. If Odell finishes a top 24 wide receiver this week, that's a good week for any wide receiver, not just like Odell. It's a good week for any wide receiver. And knowing that he's been struggling, I would take David Montgomery. I just think the touches are too good to pass up. All right, let's see. Frank Gore or James White and a half PPR. I mean, I had James White there. And like he's the one that I want to say because I feel like James White, this is the matchup against the Ravens. It just makes too much sense for him not to be the guy. Like they're not going to be able to run the ball against Baltimore. And they should move the ball via the short passing game. The wide receiver matchups that they have are not very good. if you're looking for a floor, I'm gonna phrase this in a way the best way I can. If you're looking for a floor, Frank Gore's the play. If you're looking for a ceiling with a little bit more risk, I would say James White. It's not to say that James White hasn't had a high floor either. Like, he's finished. Bobby mentioned this in the podcast, and I had not realized just how like consistent it had been. But I want to say that James White. Now I'm gonna pull it up just because I want to like be accurate in what I say. James White in every game this year has finished in between 11.9 and 13.8 PPR points. Like, what? How ridiculous is that? Like, I don't even know how you script that. Like, you can't, even if they tried, I don't think they could do that. That's kind of ridiculous. So I like James White. Let's see. Moscovium, Phil Dorsett or Devontae Parker. Standard. Being Dolphins fan is hard. Yeah, it is being hard. It is hard. But I'm going to go Devontae Parker here. I've mentioned that Devontae Parker has finished with 55 yards and or a touchdown in 6 of 7 games this year. And the only one that he didn't was against the Patriots. And really nobody produces against the Patriots. So I don't see any reason to really doubt him right now. Phil Dorsett, brutal matchup against Baltimore. Baltimore's getting healthy on defense. They're coming off their bye week. Yeah, Dorsett would need a big play to get it done. I'm gonna go with Parker. I just think he's safer. Vinny asked Ty Johnson or Frank Gore PPR. I would go with Gore, just safer play. Daniel Jones asked full PPR McLaurin, Crowder, or David Montgomery. McLaurin's matchup is not good against the Bills. Tre'Davious White, obviously a really good cornerback. They're playing sides. They're not shadowing, but they have not allowed many wide receiver performances. And knowing that Dwayne Haskins is starting is concerning. Haskins and McLaurin did play together in college, which is something that it should like lead to chemistry on the field. But we saw when Haskins came into the game last week, it wasn't good. It didn't look good. So I'm worried there. Crowder, there's just so many options in New York that I don't know how many targets Crowder is going to get in this game. It's a good matchup for him for sure, but there's nothing guaranteed, which is why I'll say Montgomery. JPP asked Royce Freeman, Deshaun Jackson, Curtis Samuel, pick one, half PPR. Give me Royce Freeman. The guy's locked into a lot of touches. They're going to run the ball a ton with Brandon Allen under center. I would anticipate him getting in between 12 and 15 touches, and that's fine. Samuel has been getting some targets, but the matchup, again, with Tennessee, with Adoree Jackson in the lineup, it's not a great matchup. So I have Samuel as like a low-end wide receiver 3. Deshaun Jackson, I'm going to wait it out with him, so I'll take Freeman. Juan Pablo asked Singletary or Miles Sanders, half PPR. Love you guys. Love you too. I'll go Singletary here. I don't like Miles Sanders, the matchup for him against the Bears. It's not a great matchup. I think this is more of a Jordan Howard game than it is a Miles Sanders game, knowing he's dealing with the shoulder injury. And if they jump out to a slight lead, they could decide to just kind of keep him on the bench, get him back healthy. But he's been playing limited snaps to begin with. So Rolando asked, morning tags, good morning, Deontay Johnson or Jarvis Landry in PPR. I'd play Jarvis Landry. I think this is, I mean, I don't know how much this is saying. Like, I don't think it's saying much, but I think that Jarvis Landry is probably the highest scoring Browns receiver in this game. I don't know if that's saying too much, but I'd take Jarvis Landry over Deontay Johnson, even though Deontay Johnson, I've been saying that I just feel like he should be higher than he is in my rankings. It's just I have a hard time trusting Mason Rudolph to provide 2 fantasy relevant wide receivers. But if you look at the numbers between Juju Smith-Schuster and Deontay Johnson, like next to each other, it's kind of ridiculous how close they are since Mason Rudolph took over. So, I mean, I probably should be saying Deontay Johnson, but I'm saying Jarvis Landry. I just think he's safer is all. James White or Devontae Parker? I'd play James White in that situation. Let's see. James asks, Thielen is officially active. Thank you for that, Chris. Hey, and guys, do me a favor. In the chat, say thank you to Chris, like for these amazing graphics. So across the bottom, like the graphics that are on here, Chris is basically the producer of the show, and he kind of puts all the work into this. And it's Chris with a K, by the way. So say thank you to Chris. He does great work. Let's see. Standard, Vance, Brate, or Hollister. I know, so gross. I'm playing Brate. I don't think it's that gross, actually. I have Cameron Brate as a top 12 tight end play this week. With no O.J. Howard, I'll play Cameron Brate. That's fine. Ben asked Ty Johnson or wait for James White. I would wait for James White. It seems like he's going to play. That it seems like it's a minor thing. They listed him, which is always concerning, but I would wait on James White. Let's see, Gary, I volunteered to rake leaves rather than watch the Bears again. Before I go, Amari or Lockett, full PPR. I mean, this better be DFS, man. This better be like DraftKings, because DraftKings is full PPR. But because if you have both of those and you have to make that decision on a weekly basis, make some trades, Gary. Because like seriously, you need to do something to like make your decisions easier. I'd play Amari. His target floor is better than Lockett's. Both of them have been really efficient, and I do think that Lockett has a great matchup, but he's a guy that he might see 4 targets at some point. Like we saw it against the Cardinals, he was in a smash spot, and then he saw like 4 targets and didn't finish with very many fantasy points. So I'd say Amari. We've already seen him like absolutely crush the Giants this year in week 1. Let's see. Carson or Samuels? I have Carson slightly higher because Carson's going to be used in the passing game as well. Carson's got a better shot at touchdowns, I would say. So I'm going to go with Carson there. It's close, though. Marin? I don't know what that one is. But Chris Carson, Gordon, Eckler, pick 2 PPR. Chris Carson and Melvin Gordon would be my 2. Eckler's behind Gordon for me. I do think that Melvin Gordon gets going this week. Let's see. Meech, the Catalyst. There we go. Hey, Tags, nice run at the Napoleon Dynamite. Thanks, man. Save my fantasy team. PPR, choose 2. Watkins, Dorsett, Crowder. I would play Crowder. He's probably the one with the safest floor of those, and I'd play Watkins. I don't trust Dorsett this week, man. Dorsett it's tough matchup against Baltimore. I don't like it. So I'll take Watkins and Crowder, and good luck. All right. Standard flex need 5.0 insight. I don't know. Maybe 5 stars. I don't know. Walton, Gore, Henry. Already starting Waller at tight end. Thanks. Let's see. So is that Derrick Henry or Hunter Henry? I don't know which one that is, because if it's Derrick Henry, I'd say him for sure. If it's Hunter Henry, I'd probably go Walton. It's close though. Man, that's close. I hope that's Derrick Henry, because that way I could just say Derrick Henry. Julian says Galladay or Godwin. Godwin for me, and I'm hoping that's a DFS question, because again, you don't want to make those decisions every week. But I love Godwin this week, and if you guys didn't see, in the primer what I had done with what I had found, the stat that I found with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin in regards to man coverage versus zone coverage and who's doing better against what. The Seahawks are one of the most zone-heavy teams in the league, and Mike Evans has struggled against zone over the last year and a half, whereas Chris Godwin has hammered zone coverage. So this should be a big Chris Godwin game. Let's see. Robert asks, morning from New England Tags. Good morning. Flex, Gallup or Jamal Williams, have PPR. I'm going Gallup here. Jamal Williams not guaranteed enough touches for me to play him confidently. Jason, good morning, Tags. Good morning. James White or Adrian Peterson, full PPR. I have White higher in a full PPR. Peterson, again, so there's obviously some concern with James White right now, but I would play him over Peterson in a full PPR. Peterson doesn't catch many passes. Like the thing with Peterson is he should score in this game if he gets an opportunity, because the Bills under Sean McDermott have allowed plenty of touchdowns, rushing touchdowns. Speaking, that's obviously where he's at. So, yeah. Full PPR pick 1, DJ Moore, James White, Robbie Anderson. Oof, I'm probably going to go Robbie Anderson in that one. I think the upside is there enough for me to say that I'd play Robbie Anderson. I mean, James White probably would have been the pick before this injury. It would have been really close, but I'll take Robbie Anderson. I think the ceiling is worth it, worth the floor. Never mind, skipped it over. And there is there's the news. Basically, Patrick Mahomes inactive. Adam Thielen is active. Curtis Samuel active. Deshaun Jackson active. James Conner inactive. Chris Herndon is active. What? Oh boy, this creates just more madness. I don't really know how to feel about that. I don't like it. Ugh. All right. Frank Clark inactive. Chris Jones active. Okay. Let's see. Start Jarvis Landry, Jamison Crowder, or Terry McLaurin, full PPR. I would go with Landry in that one. Jamison Crowder now with that Chris Herndon addition, that creates even more uncertainty with the Jets. I'm going to go with Landry. Need to drop one. Will Fuller or Deshaun Jackson? I mean, at least Deshaun Jackson's healthy now, right? Oof. Man, that's really tough. I hate to say Will Fuller. If you don't need wins right now, I will say hold on to Will Fuller and drop Djax. If you need wins right now and you need somebody over the next week or two, I guess drop Fuller? I don't want you to drop Fuller, though. I really don't. Hollywood Brown or Corey Davis? I'd play Corey Davis. Hollywood, terrible matchup, coming off multiple injuries. That's my concern there. So let's see. Terry McLaurin or AP, PPR. I would play Adrian Peterson. Just give me the guaranteed touches. Like he's, ever since that they fired Gruden, they're running the ball a ton, whether they like it or not. And I don't think Buffalo blows anybody out. So, and they're not going to want to throw the ball a whole lot with Dwayne Haskins. So I'll take AP. James asks, what's up, Tax? What's up, dude? 10-team PPR, pick 2. Adams, Tyreek, Lockett. Dude, so when you guys have decisions like this, seriously, make a 2-for-1 trade, somewhere on your roster, so you don't have to make decisions like this every single week. I'm going to play Lockett and Tyreek. At least I know that they're 100% healthy. And Adams, the best part about this is that you basically get to make sure that he's healthy, that he can get through a full game. That's what I would do right now, just because, again, Tyreek and Lockett are must-plays. Adam Thielen or John Brown? I have John Brown slightly higher in the rankings, and he's another one that, again, you're getting a guy that probably comes with a higher floor, just knowing that there could be a re-injury to Thielen. He could tweak that hamstring again. It's not a particularly great matchup against the Chiefs, who, by the way, have been a lot better against the pass than people think ever since that Week 1 game against the Jags. So I'd go with John Brown. Devin Singletary or Terry McLaurin, PPR. I'll take Singletary. They're probably going to end up with the same amount of touches. It's just we don't have to rely on Dwayne Haskins for one of them. Curtis Samuel or David Montgomery, PPR flex. I would go with Montgomery. I don't think a lot of people like Samuel this week, which is really, I don't really understand it, I guess, especially knowing that Adoree Jackson is going to play. So I'm going to go David Montgomery and take the guaranteed touches. Let's see. All right. DK Metcalf. Oh wow, there's a lot there. Parzival. I don't even know who the Brown is. You have to specify. There's a lot going on there. Mateen asks, standard McCoy or Odell? I guess McCoy. I'm not excited about it though. Under the oath, half PPR, John Brown, Robbie Anderson, or Devontae Adams. I guess I'd probably play Devontae Adams of the group. John Brown's close though. John Brown's really close. Robbie Anderson, massive upside, but there's so many mouths to feed. We don't know how many targets he's actually going to get in that game. It's such a good matchup that it's hard to pass on him. But Devontae Adams is probably my choice. I don't think you could ever bench Devontae Adams when he's in the lineup. And it seems like the Packers have played this very smart and said, we're not going to put him back on the field until he's 100%. And we have to assume that he's close to 100% now that he's back. I saw him legitimately jump over a teammate in practice yesterday. He hurled him. So he seems like he's healthy. So I'd go with Devontae Adams. Flex, Walton, Corey Davis, or Singletary? I would go with Walton. Let's see. Yeah, I would go with Walton. Just safer. Terry McLaurin or AP, got that one already. Deshaun Jackson or Alshon Jeffrey? Alshon Jeffrey for sure. Again, so Jennifer, what I would say about Deshaun Jackson is that we don't want to play him if we don't have to just yet. He's a guy that obviously you're going to want, and I think he's going to be a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 most weeks, and that one that you're going to want to put in your lineup because he's going to have him and Carson Wentz mesh well together. He fits the offense perfectly. But the thing is, he is coming off the multi-week injury. The Bears aren't a particularly great matchup. Alshon Jeffrey is the better shot at a touchdown. Yeah, you have the whole revenge game and all that stuff, but I think it's Alshon Jeffrey for me. All right, see that the Texans are now, it's 12-3. They just ran the ball. Duke Johnson just scored a grown man touchdown. He just ran over a defender and scored a touchdown. So it's good to see Duke Johnson get some fantasy points. It's odd to see him in the game. I don't know if something happened to Carlos Hyde while I've been doing the show, but I figured I'd report that to you guys, that Duke Johnson just scored a rushing touchdown. And the Texans are now up quite a bit. Multiple scores. Let's see. PPR McCoy or White looking for a good floor. I'd say that White actually offers you the higher floor and ceiling. So I'd say James White over McCoy. Let's see. Donkey Lips, Gordon, Samuels, Ingram. I need 2. It would be Gordon and Samuels for me. Ingram's matchup against New England is not very good. He's not involved in the passing game very much. There's a lot of concerns with Ingram this week. So yeah, I'd go Gordon and Samuels. Lauren says pick 2, half PPR. Mike Evans, Allen Robinson, Austin Eckler, Marlon Mack. Thanks. There's a lot of people there. As 4, Lauren, I'm sorry. I told people that if I see 4, I have to skip it over. Jake asks, start Golden Tate or Terry McLaurin. I'm going to go with Tate. I'm not really excited about Actually, I might go McLaurin here. I did lower Tate once we found out that he was going to Sterling Shepard was coming back. Let me look this up because I want my rankings to match what I'm telling you. Let's see. I guess it depends on if it's PPR or standard. If it's standard, I'd probably go McLaurin. If it's PPR, I'd probably go Tate. They're really close. I meant Curtis Samuel, not Jalen. Oh, see, that's why I always tell people McLaurin, Jamal Williams, or Curtis Samuel. Okay, that makes a lot more sense now. In that situation, McLaurin, again, we have a lot of concerns about him. Curtis Samuel, not the greatest matchup. I guess I'd probably go Jamal Williams. I'm not excited about it, but I guess I'd probably go with him there. Dung C, morning tags, good morning. Golden Tate or Moore. I think that's Golden Tate, and I think that's DJ Moore. I'd play DJ Moore. Knowing that Sterling Shepard's back, lowering the floor for Tate. That's where I'd go with it. Patrick says half PPR, Peterson or Mack. I'd play Mack. Again, much better offensive line. Matchups are not great for either of them. I'd say that the run defense with Buffalo is probably worse than the run defense in Pittsburgh, but I mean, no, it's just knowing that Peterson is not involved in the passing game at all is concerning. So I'm going to go with Mack there. It's close though. Let's see. Morning tags, pick 2. Chris Carson, Jordan Howard, or Jalen Samuel. Yeah, anytime I see Samuel, I think Curtis Samuel, and I see Samuels, I think Jalen Samuels. So Chris Carson, Jordan Howard, Jalen Samuels. You're playing Chris Carson for sure, and I would probably go Jalen Samuels over Jordan Howard. It's just a safer play here. The Bears defense has really struggled. They've allowed 6 rushing touchdowns over the last 3 games they've played, which is like a far cry from the previous 20 games when they allowed just 5 rushing touchdowns. The loss of Akeem Hicks is real. So yeah, that's my concern with the Bears defense. And so I do like Jordan Howard, but not more than those guys. Those guys are both locked into 15, 20 touches. I mean, you can't find that with Howard, if for whatever reason that game does go negatively. Let's see. Made a waiver wire pickup just now. Robbie Anderson or Jarvis Landry? Robbie Anderson for sure. Adam asks, flex Walton, Corey Davis, or Singletary? Walton. Andrew asks, Daniel Jones or Mitch Trubisky at quarterback? It's slightly Daniel Jones, I think. I'm not really excited about it. Either choice. It's tough to play Trubisky right now. The matchup should dictate, it should say Trubisky, if I'm being completely honest, but I just can't play Mitch with any confidence right now. Knowing that Daniel Jones is finally going to have like a full complement of players, this is going to be the first time, if I'm not mistaken, that he's going to have Sterling Shepard, Golden Tate, Evan Ingram, and Saquon Barkley in the lineup. So, yeah, I guess I'm going Daniel Jones there. New sweatshirt? Well, not new, but it's my Fantasy Pros one. If you guys decided that you want to support Fantasy Pros, the show, the podcast, anything. There's even a primer t-shirt. You guys can check that out. shop.fantasypros.com. So yeah, thanks for noticing. Let's see. DJ Moore, Crowder, or Amendola. I'd play DJ Moore of that group. Let's see. Kevin asked Howard or Thielen, half PPR. I'll probably go Howard. It's just I'll take Howard's guaranteed touches and knowing that he's healthy, knowing the matchup is not as bad as it used to be. I'll take him over Thielen. Just knowing the injury, that Thielen's coming off the soft tissue injury. Those are always the worst ones to wonder about if he pushed back, if he came back too soon. All right, let's see. Start 1, Cohen, Montgomery, or Preston. Montgomery for sure. He'd be the one I'd play. Adam Cowling, Allen Robinson or Cortland Sutton. Oh, this is Allen Robinson for sure. Cortland Sutton dealing with Brandon Allen under center. We don't know what to expect there. I expect a run-heavy game plan. I think Phillip Lindsay's a phenomenal play this week, by the way. I think he's a good DFS play, too. There's a lot of good running backs this week, so it's tough, but I do like him. I expect him to run the ball a lot against Cleveland. So, yeah, Cortland Sutton in wide receiver 3 territory. Allen Robinson's like top 15. Ira asks Mike Williams or Austin Eckler, looking for a higher upside versus floor. Then give me Mike Williams. I think Eckler's role doesn't change too much. I think that Melvin Gordon I see nothing but good coming out of this for him. Whereas Eckler, there's some bad that can come out of it, right? Where it's like they're running the ball more. That means they're not throwing the ball as much, which means there's not a lot of targets for him to go around. So I'm going to say that Mike Williams comes with a higher ceiling. Jacobs versus Samuels. I would play Jacobs over Samuels if you had the choice between those two. Jacobs' matchup against Detroit is fantastic. Detroit has been brutal against running backs this year, like brutal. Jerome asks, James White or Mike Williams, non-PPR? In a non-PPR, I might go with Mike Williams there, just because, like James White, we have to worry about the toe injury. I do think it's potential that it's like a 2-touchdown game for him, but it could also be the same for Mike Williams. So I'll take Mike Williams knowing he's healthy. Deshaun Jackson is back. Wentz an option? Nah, you don't want to play him against the Bears, I don't think. There's a lot of better options out there. Like, I'd rather play Sam Darnold than Wentz this week. But Wentz is a great buy low, though. Like, after this game, I think they have one more tough game. Is it against New England, I think it is? Because I was looking at his schedule, and I wanted to say he was a buy low, but then I'm like, just wait a minute, because he's going to have a couple more tough matchups. But Wentz is going to be a buy in fantasy football very, very, very soon. Sam Darnold or Jameis Winston? I would play Jameis Winston. I like Darnold more than most this week. I have him as a top 12 quarterback. But Winston, I have as top 8. Like, he's a guy that on my own personal, one of my teams, I have Jameis Winston and Lamar Jackson, and I was looking to sell one. Nobody's buying that second quarterback, but it feels dumb to just drop one of them. But I have Jameis Winston and Lamar Jackson. And I was torn on the decision. Like, I think I'm going Lamar Jackson, but Winston is a fantastic play. Let's see. Jay asked, Deshaun Jackson, Cole Beasley, or Curtis Samuel, half PPR flex spot? We'll shoot for the upside with Curtis Samuel. I mean, like, he's been getting steady targets. The air yards are there for him. Deshaun Jackson coming off the multi-week injury. Cole Beasley. Cole Beasley's matchup is pretty good, but his ceiling is very limited. So it's like, what are you shooting for there? It's really tough. So I guess I'll go with the upside of Samuel. Marvin Jones or Tyrell Williams? They're right next to each other. I'm literally just going to tell you what's in my rankings because I hate that question. It's so close that I don't even want to answer it. I have Marvin Jones slightly higher. But Tyrell Williams makes sense. Is the one that you'd want to play because he's the number 1 option in the passing game. Well, maybe behind Waller, he's the number 2, but Marvin Jones is clearly the number 2 behind Galladay. I mean, that's the only concern. But I have Marvin Jones higher in my rankings. Derek Carr or Sam Darnold? That's an interesting one because I was looking at that because it was a decision I was trying to make in streaming in one of my leagues, and I chose Darnold over Carr. I just think that Carr is too inconsistent, and so many people want to bury Sam Darnold for how he's looked the last couple weeks. I mean, guys, against the Jags, and I mean, Deshaun Watson has 1 touchdown this game. Like, he's not playing extremely well against the Jags. The Jags are still a good defense without Jalen Ramsey. They may not be elite, but they're still good. And then, like, going back to New England, nobody's looked good against New England. I know Darnold looked terrible, but knowing Miami doesn't generate pressure, Darnold should be fine. So I'm going to go Darnold. Carr has been like the most up and down quarterback throughout his career, and I've been waiting for more stability out of him. There hasn't been. I want to say he only has 1 game this year over 15 fantasy points too, so he's not like, he offers nothing on the ground, so if he's not throwing well, the floor is just too low. Let's see. Nick Jones asked, DJ Chark drop. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to give you guys updates on this. DJ Chark almost caught a long pass. Matt Stafford or Jameis Winston? I have Stafford higher in the rankings. They're both phenomenal plays this week. Nike Ninja, McLaurin or Devontae Parker, Singletary or Montgomery. So I kind of want to say Devontae Parker in that one. It's really close between those two. I think Parker's probably the safer option. And then Singletary or Montgomery, I would play Montgomery. Let's see. Start 1 PPR, Montgomery or Walton. I'm going with David Montgomery again. I think the Bears should have more scoring opportunities than the Dolphins do, and we know that Montgomery's getting goal line touches. So I'm going to go with Montgomery there over Walton. It's close, though. It's a really good question. Let's see. Philip Dorsett or Demaryius in standard. I have Demaryius as the guy that I would play. I like Demaryius this week, and I am a little concerned about the whole hamstring thing. That's what had him winding up on the injury report, but he is active, and yeah, so I'm going to go with Demaryius here. John asked Chris Carson or Stephon Diggs PPR. I'm going Carson. Give me the 20 touches. I mean, you can't bench a guy that gets 20 touches a week, even in a tough matchup. Adam asked Royce Freeman or Sony Michel half PPR. This is close. I have it really close between those two. I'd probably go Sony, but maybe I wouldn't. Oh, let me look at this is one of those ones where it's like there's some questions you guys give me that are just so dang good that I'm like, I start questioning myself. I'm like, let me just go to the rankings so my emotion's not involved in it. Yep, I have Royce Freeman one spot ahead of Sony Michel, so it tells you how close it is. I have Royce Freeman one spot higher, so hopefully that helps you. And I mean, Sony has more touchdown upside built in, but Baltimore, outside of that one game against Nick Chubb, by the way, they were without their best defensive lineman that game. Outside of that game, they've been really good against the run, so it's not like a great matchup for Sony Michel. Let's see. Eckler or Mack for high ceiling. I'm watching Duke Johnson put me in the hole. I mean, when your opponent plays Duke Johnson, you should just accept it as like they didn't know what they were doing. Sometimes luck just wins. But if you're looking for a ceiling, I guess I'd probably go Eckler. Mack's ceiling is not very high against Pittsburgh. So looking at Pittsburgh, I'm going to pull it up real quick so I can tell you. Yep, no running back. None have finished top 16 against them this year. None. It's been pretty rough sledding, and that's why I really don't like Mack very much. I think it's like a low-end RB2 this week. Whereas Green Bay, they do struggle against the run. They've kind of flip-flopped, right? Like they get better against one thing, they get worse against the other. So I would say Eckler comes with a higher ceiling. 1 point PPR, need a flex, Danny Amendola, AP, or Walton. And this is a full PPR. I'd say Mark Walton is probably my choice here. It's close, though, between him and Adrian Peterson. Peterson probably comes with a higher floor. Yeah. Let's see. Need a defense, special teams, the Jets, Baltimore, or Philly. You're not playing Baltimore against the Patriots. You don't do that. Philly would be my choice, I think. This one's tough. It's either the Jets or Philly. Like, pick your poison there. I think they're both phenomenal plays. I think I have them both ranked in the top 6. Mike asked separate league PPR, Preston or Amendola. I'm going to go with Amendola on a PPR format, like a full PPR. Preston's been getting the targets, but he just hasn't been producing. And the Jets, believe it or not, the Jets have not been like a phenomenal matchup for wide receivers. Yeah. Let's see. Pedro asked, I have both Waller and Hunter Henry. Should I start both? One in flex. It depends on who you're starting them over. Like Darren Waller is in lineups. Like you play him no matter what. Like he's always a locked in guy. Hunter Henry's generally he's close to that, but knowing that the change in offense does change a little bit for me with Hunter Henry, lowers him just a little bit because there's a little bit more volatility baked into his ranking this week. But it just depends on who you're starting over. Who you'd be starting Hunter Henry over. I wouldn't start him over a running back that's guaranteed 20 touches or anything like that. Let's see. Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen? I have Lamar Jackson one spot higher. It's close. Fantasy football, Curtis Samuel or Singletary? Let's go with Singletary. They both have big play potential, but Singletary actually has guaranteed touches. And again, with Tennessee getting Adoree Jackson back, that's big for their defense. Need 2 standard, Mark Andrews, Hunter Henry, James White. Mark Andrews is the number 1, and let's just go Andrews and Henry, knowing that James White dealing with the toe thing. Let's just say that Andrews and Henry are a little bit safer. All right. Brissett or Danny Dimes? I'd play Danny Dimes. I'd play with him. With at least he has his weapons. Like Brissett is throwing to it's bad. It's bad for him. So yeah, I'd play Danny Dimes there. Russell Wilson or Stafford? Russell Wilson. Like Russell Wilson's the play this week. Like he's the number 1. Brandon asks Tyrell Williams or James White in the flex. I'd play Tyrell Williams, knowing that James White is dealing with the toe injury, whatever that is. It could limit his availability, and they may use more Rex Burkhead, which it builds in more volatility. So I'll go Tyrell Williams. Max asked Herndon or Ebron in half PPR. I don't know what you think of Herndon now that he's active. Yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to play Ebron there. So Ebron is going to get more targets naturally because T.Y. Hilton's out of the lineup. Like Ebron and Doyle are going to, they're legitimately, their target floor went up considerably with T.Y. Hilton out of the lineup because the wide receivers just aren't targeted a whole lot. The matchup against Pittsburgh isn't bad for tight ends. So I would probably I'd say Ebron is the one I would go with. Herndon, he's a guy that wasn't expected to play. Now he's active. It's possible that Adam Gase kind of just has him active and mixes him in to see how he's doing. I don't trust him at all. It was Hunter Henry. 5.0 is in fast staying. Oh, nice. Well, I saw the 5.0, and that's naturally what goes into my head, but I didn't know what you meant. Standard flex need 5.0 insight. Yeah, okay. So Walton, Gore, or Hunter Henry, already starting Waller tight end. Gotcha. All right. So in standard, I'd probably go with Frank Gore. I just think that it's 15 plus touches for him. Walton's a little bit more valuable in PPR. Hunter Henry, again, there is some volatility with his projection this week in that I don't want to say that he's automatic for a guy that's going to catch 5 passes for 60 yards or something like that with a shot at a touchdown. I can't say that, so I'm going to say that Frank Gore would probably be my choice. Jake S. Standard, Madison, or Miles Sanders? I think I might go Madison here, honestly. Like, the Chiefs are a team that if you go back to the start of last year, over the span of, like, now we're talking about, 24 games, 23, 23 or 24 games. They are a team that has allowed more, on average, more than one top 30 running back per game. So I'll go with Madison here. Hunter or Ertz PPR. I have Ertz, I think, higher. I'm gonna pull it up. Is this for PP? Is this for, like, if you own both these guys, seriously, trade a tight end. People are looking for tight ends. You can get a lot of value. Okay, I have Hunter Henry higher than Ertz, so that I would go with Hunter Henry of those. But I would work on trading one, and I'd probably trade Hunter Henry before I trade Ertz. Ertz, you'd be selling too low. Hunter Henry, you're kind of selling high because people need tight ends, and they're willing to give up, like, proven, like, high-end RB2s for them. All right, let me see. Just a couple more before I get out of here. Thank you guys again for showing up. Thank you guys for clicking that like button. If you haven't yet, please do that. It does help out the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. Let's see. Lockett or Keenan Allen in DFS? I would play Lockett. I'm guessing you're talking about a tournament. Lockett would be the tournament play with the higher ceiling. Keenan Allen might be the better cash play, but I'm not playing either of those guys in cash. I am fake Jesus, PPR, John Brown, or DK Metcalf. John Brown has to be safer. I think DK comes with a slightly higher ceiling, though. Let's see. Pick 2, Diggs, Tyreek Hill, Allen Robinson. I would go at Tyreek Hill and Allen Robinson of those two. All right, let's see. Mark Ingram or Royce Freeman, half-point PPR. I'd play Royce Freeman. I think they're in line for kind of similar touches this week, and Freeman's matchup is better. Randall Cobb, Paris Campbell, or Chester Rogers, half PPR. Can I say none of the above? There are better options. There has to be Rohan. It has to be better options than those guys. If you're forcing me to pick one, I guess Paris Campbell. I mean, he has game-breaking talent, but it's not a great play. Machiavelli, pick 3, Sanu, Walton, Andrews, or Jonnu Smith. So benching one of them. Well, I would bench Sanu of those. Meech, hey tags, wish I didn't live in Vegas to do DFS. Yeah. Last question, need 2 quarterbacks of those guys. Rodgers, Cousins, Rivers. I would play Rodgers for sure, and let's go at Rivers. Rivers slightly over Cousins. And then Deshaun Jackson or Sammy Watkins, half PPR. I'd play Sammy Watkins, guys. So Minnesota, the stat is that, I'm going to pull it up because after last week it would have updated. But Minnesota this year has allowed 11. So last year, the average wide receiver 3 performance or better, but to finish as a top 36 wide receiver last year, it took an average of 11.7 PPR points. Okay. The Vikings so far have allowed 11 of those performances. The only two teams that have allowed more than that are the Atlanta Falcons and the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals already played their game this week, so that actually already updated. So it's basically just the Falcons who have allowed more wide receiver 3 type performances to wide receivers. So I'm not really worried about starting wide receivers against the Vikings right now. Their secondary just doesn't look as ferocious. Their run defense is still really good, though. So that's just the insight that I have for you guys. But thank you guys, seriously, as always, for showing up. I know there's a game going on right now. Typically, the crowds are a little bit smaller on Sundays when there's a game going on in London. But hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you guys can bring friends back to the show. The more it keeps growing, believe me, the more they're going to allow me to do things like this. So if you guys want more live streams throughout the week or whatever like that, make sure you guys click the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you, and best of luck in your matchups this week because, well, I mean, we're getting close to fantasy playoff time, guys. Like next week is week 10. If you guys haven't checked it out, by the way, I want to let you know, weekend waiver wire stashes. There's an article that I put out on Saturday mornings that I already put out this week. Again, it's called Weekend Waiver Wire Stashes, where it goes through the games next week, and it tells you who to pick off the waiver wire now so that you're not trying to get them next week. One player that I will hint to you that is in there is Ted Ginn. Pick him up now. There's 6 teams on bye next week, so you're going to be looking for bye week replacements, and Ted Ginn is one of the best wide receiver ads right now. But thank you, as always. Until next time, lights out.